Hi everyone, I'm just waiting on some people to get on. We had pinto beans yesterday, and today I'm going to make some pinto bean potato cake, or not potato cakes, pinto bean cakes. So I'm going to turn my oven or my stove on to get that started and get that iron heated up. Hello, Michelle. We're going to do these beans, pinto beans. So to start out, you want to get your skillet hot, but make sure you don't get it so high that it'll just burn, because you want them cakes to lay in that hot grease. Hi Cheryl. Hi Tessa, how you doing? We'll make some bean cakes. I studied for tonight at church and I got to feeling kind of weak and lightheaded. And I looked up at the clock and I thought, no wonder I haven't eaten. So I need to eat today, so I'm going to make some bean cakes. Hello, how are you? So this is what my pinto beans look like, Michelle. Now, that's not hot yet, but I'll just let that heat up while we're making them. There's all kinds of different ways you can make bean cakes. You can put crackers and egg and all that stuff. That's what I was going to ask you, Michelle. Do you have an egg? If you don't have an egg, we'll make them without eggs. So you just take your leftover pinto beans and in the city where I grew up, we didn't eat a lot of beans at all. But down here, when I got down here in the country in these parts, they made beans and they made bean cakes and all that. So yes, okay, I'm gonna get an egg then, Michelle. I'll be right back. I wanted to make sure you had an egg before we started this. Let me get that. So I'm just going to take, now you can use your an old potato masher or anything you want, or your hands to mash these up. And I was going to use my Tupperware chopper just to see how it does with them and if it'll chop them up. I never really liked beans when I was small, particularly these kind, because of what they looked like. When that little shell breaks open and you got the white part in there, it just didn't look appealing to me as a child. So I've got this. I'm just going to take that and see what that does to these beans for me. And I'm over here in the corner, so that way, I don't know if anybody has done the pinto beans in the Tupperware chopper, but like I'm saying, you do not have to use this. It just makes it easier for me. I'm going to chop them up pretty fine. If you don't have anything, just use your hands. Hands is a good created thing that we have to help us. So we put that over there. Mix these down, smash these. I got about 10 beans in there, and I'm going to smash them down before I put these in there. So we're going to put these in this bowl. You could use a electric blender or whatever, but I just use this Tupperware thing because I use it for everything. it's easy to wash and easy for me to grab. So we got these mixed up. And like I say, if you can just take your hands and go like this and mash them all up yourself, which if I had one of the grandkids here or something like that, I would probably do that. And this is probably two cups or more. You don't have to go by a certain amount. So I'm just going to take an egg and add to that as a binder. You do not have to do this. You do not have to have the binder. I've seen them made without the egg, but I'm going to put one in just for good measure for me. And my skillet's starting to get a little hot now, so you want to just let that lay there on between medium and low and get your grease hot, because that's going to sear your burgers very well. Hello. I'm doing good. I hope you all are doing good. So I'm just gonna, if you can see it or not, put this egg down in there, like so, and mix that up. You want to scramble that egg up a little bit so it'll go in there really good and mixed up. Now you can season these or not season these. It's entirely up to you. And since I have to speak tonight at church, I better not eat very much until after church, but this looks good so far. Okay, I'm going to take some salt. About, I'd say, a teaspoon of salt. This thing comes out a little slower. Okay, and some pepper. In there. That was half a teaspoon of pepper. You can put more. Okay, now I'm just going to mix that up a little bit in there. Don't get it up my nose where I'll sneeze all over you. So far you got a consistency like this. So you need to thicken these beans up now. But before we do that, I'm going to, you do not have to put this in. I'm going to put a little bit of turmeric in it. Just about 1/4 a teaspoon, not much. And you don't even have to put that in there. I'm doing that for my taste. And then I'm going to put in some simply garlic. Any kind of garlic, just a little bit. And, of course, onion flakes. You can put onion powder. You could put real onions chopped up good. Or you can put onion flakes. And I'm doing the onion flakes. It'll give it a nice flavor. And I won't have onions because it's hard to wash off of you, really. The onions. Okay, now I'm going to stir all that up in there. Now you can use any kind of agent you want for to thicken it up, like crackers or anything, but I'm going to use flour because that is what I was taught to do. So I'm just going to take, and you just have to guess at it and put a little bit in at a time. This is about a 1/2 cup. And I'll mix that all up in there. If you can't use flour, you could use something else, just anything to thicken it up. And that's making it pretty thick. But this is the way that I've seen it done before when I was younger, so. And a lot of times people just didn't have the extra crackers and all that stuff to put in it. Sometimes they didn't even have an egg, so they used flour. That was something you could buy as a staple. Put just a little bit more, and I can smell that garlic. I don't know if I put... So just keep mixing that up in there. And you don't want to spice it so much that you lose your pinto bean taste. So my skillet is heating up. I can smell it. And my husband found another. In case you got on late, we're making bean cakes. Pinto bean cakes, leftover pinto bean cakes. My husband found another iron skillet. He found one last week, he found one this week in my supplies, and I've already got 3 real good ones out here. So I'm going to be getting rid of that other one too. I don't need that many. I keep them simply for the fact that if, let me get a drink of root beer. I got a little bit of that garlic up in my throat. I'm enjoying a root beer today. A&W. So let's just keep mixing that around, and you've got to see that's going to hold pretty well together now. Now these, when they get in the skillet, they might thin up a little bit, but they'll thicken back up, okay? Now my skillet is hot and ready, so I don't know if I have another, what I want to use to put that in there. I've got so much stuff here. If I want to use this spoon or not. Let me get it cleaned off there a little bit. I've got so many. But sometimes I use way too many of them. And I end up washing a bunch of them. Okay, so we'll take a patty. I've got a big spoon about that big. So then just drop it in that hot oil. It could be a little bit bigger than that. There we go. And that'll just flatten out. And you don't want to get in a hurry with these. You want to leave them set there. That actually looks like a chocolate chip chocolate cookie to me. It's not going to taste like one, but I think these will really be good. All I would have had to do was put the onion in it, because the onion's what was going to give it a little more flavor. Yeah, Justin, David Speary, a friend of mine, made this for me 7 years, or it's either 5 or 7 years ago. He gave me this as a gift, and he seasoned it. He seasons them. And then the other one I have that I will not part with, and you know how that is if you have your grandmothers, is my sister-in-law's. She passed away, and my other sister-in-law gave me one of her skillets. So, and then the other one I have that I won't part with is, it was Tom's Aunt Pete's, I think. And then I've got a small one that was his mother's. A little egg skillet, they call it. I had 2 of them. When I found out that one was hers that they gave me, I just kept it. So there's another one back there. I don't know where I got it because I used to buy them when I went places. And to me, they're the best thing, you know, to cook in. Because you can always take it out there and put it out in a skillet or in the oven. My mom didn't make them, Christine. I can't remember her ever making them. Like in the mornings, we would have hash and eggs, or you know that corned beef hash and eggs and toast. She called them dippy eggs, and I still call them dippy eggs. And I just don't remember having a lot of this stuff, but I can remember my grandmother making stuff like this, but I wasn't around a lot, but I can remember them frying green tomatoes and making these bean cakes. And back then I was raised in the city, and I just didn't really care. But now I'm going gung-ho for it. I love everything like that. Guess I just wasn't old enough. So these are looking kind of like a weak no-bake cookie right now. I think you can see them. And they're starting around the edges. They're starting to get a little done looking. So you just want to let them sit there in that skillet. And if you have like a non-stick skillet or another kind of skillet, just wipe it out real good and put your oil in it and just let it kind of sit there on low for a while, and that'll loosen it up to where it won't stick. That's the key to it. Wow, 15, wow, that's a lot. I think I'm going to stick with 3. I've got this here's the 10-inch, I've got a 7-inch, and I've got an 8-inch, and I got an egg one. I think that's plenty for us. So I don't know, unless I want to just pass them down, later, I could keep them. Not sure if this generation will ever use one or not. We'll see. Let me get, I don't know if I want to use this one or not, but I don't know if it'll turn the way I want it. I have an old spatula that I bought years ago, probably 25 or more years ago. And I bought it in a restaurant place in Lancaster, and that thing has been absolutely awesome. And boy, I panic if anybody puts that in the wrong place, because I gotta have that, which it's right here. I'll show it to you. I was making eggs this morning with it. Right there. Let me get I can smell them bean cakes now. Get my little, I use these dish towels that are like baby diapers. But see that thing? It's old. And it's still going. There's no cracks or nothing in that thing. So I'm going to use it. So we'll just try to lightly see if we can turn. Yes, we can. See how easy that came up? They were ready to turn. Some people have trouble turning them, but if you let them lay there, like you do your salmon patties or whatever, they'll turn. And then they'll cook on the other side. Pat that down just a little bit. See how them is? Them looks like now they look like, instead of cookies, they look like a sausage patty or something like that. Yeah, these, I'll tell you, these iron skillets are great for that kind of stuff. Do you? Yeah, I use these all the time. If I start getting low, because you could just use them for everything. They don't have that terry stuff on them to where they can get in your stuff. And I use them to can with everything. And I usually buy about 20 of them. And then I use them for a couple years, and then I'll go get me 20 more of them. And they're still good. I mean, I can just soak them, you know, in bleach, a little bit of bleach and soak them. So this is getting pretty dry. So I'm just going to squirt just a little bit of whatever you want. Just a little bit around the corners. It doesn't take a lot of grease. I'm using oil this morning. You can use Crisco. You can use lard. Basically, they used to use lard for just about everything. And these will sustain you. I mean, they will keep you from being hungry. But I'm thinking what I want on mine is I don't eat a lot of bread. My husband is a big bread eater. He loves bread, so I have to fix bread. But I just like to throw some mustard on top of that and eat it right on the plate. That's the way I'll probably eat mine. Yeah, are you putting cheese on yours, Michelle? I have cheese, but I never even thought about that at all until you said that. I never thought at all about putting any cheese on that. That was a good suggestion. I love it when you all make suggestions about things, how you do it and how you would do it. So see, your beans are already cooked, and all you got to do is allow that egg to cook, and that doesn't take long because you've scrambled that up and put it all through there. Hubby got cheap pepper jack. Now my husband likes pepper jack. I have the cheddar, I think I have mozzarella, and I have the cheese slices. And then I've got some of that cheese that I made, remember? I still got a little bit of it. I might try a piece of that on there. What do you think about that? That sounds like it might be good. Just let that melt. When I do my last one or two, I will do it, and then we'll let that melt down on there and see what that looks like. So tomorrow, see them's, it doesn't take a lot of oil, but I'm going to put more in because I don't like things real dry. And I'm only going to be eating one. So I'm just squirting, see, a little bit here, a little bit there. Kind of like pancakes, you know. So these really look good. Might be, maybe I'll be doing these more because it's always a staple, always a good little meal. And of course the potatoes, I don't know if you had any left, Michelle, but my husband, I only have 2 little ones left because this morning I said, do you want an egg? And he went, yeah, I'll take an egg. He said, throw a couple of potatoes in with them, scramble them all together. So I had to use them for the eggs this morning. And I do extra, but I was going to use them today, but since he wanted them this morning, that don't matter. So see, these are pretty well done on both sides now. And of course that egg binder you put in there, it's cooked in there. It doesn't take much for one. We'll put these on a plate. And that's how easy it is. I don't know what you're going to have with yours, but I've got leftover green beans and I have carrots left over. They've been in the refrigerator ever since I cooked them. So I'll probably have some carrots and a little bit of green beans and some of these. So that's what they look like. Now let me get a space here. Let me put the last 1 or 2 in there, and then we'll see how that cheese does over it. Don't get too happy with that, Pamela. I keep needing to go get some of them stem things to put on the end of your, Justin, I don't know if you have any of them or not. You put them over, their silicone over your handle on your cast iron, and you can lift it up. And sometimes I forget and grab it, and it's hot. So I know they have them at Odd Lots, and I'll probably stop down there next week and get me 3 of them at least. 4. Depending on what colors they got. Just mixing that up in there a little bit. And that's still on medium low. Between medium and low. And these will be the last 2. So that made 8. The 2 cups of beans, or a little over, and 1 egg. Your spices, you know, what you always have around the house, whatever you want to use, and your flour. So these look really, really good. And I'll probably put a little bit of salt on them since I got them done. Just to put a little extra on there. This thing, I never learned how to use it real good yet. So when we get the others done, I'll hurry up and grab that cheese, and we'll see what it does. The cheese that we made last week. I still have a little bit of it. I'll probably make some more. Somebody was asking me about that too. I went somewhere and they said, I seen on one of your videos you make Velveeta cheese, and they didn't even know that you could make Velveeta cheese or your own cheese. We're making pinto bean patties. They're leftover pinto beans. So you make your pinto beans, you eat them with whatever. You can make fried potatoes or boiled potatoes. And then the next day you can make the bean cakes and eat them with a vegetable. Today, I'm just going to make us a plate of bean cakes, and then put a little bit of green beans that I had left over that I showed you how to make, and a little bit of the carrots. And I put them in the refrigerator as soon as I got them cooled down, so we could eat them with stuff as we went. So see, we already got stuff we could eat made up to go with this stuff. And that way it's like we don't really waste, because we're finding other things to put with it. I can't remember what I made you guys the other night, and I used a lot of this cheese. Can't think about it right now, but oh, Diane, you need to make some of these. You would love them. Do you like pinto beans? And you don't have to use pinto beans. You can use, they usually do the northern or the soup beans. And my sister-in-law, she's in heaven right now. She passed away. I remember her, her name was Debbie. And she was married to Tom's brother, and she always made bean cakes, always. That was one of their things they did. They ate beans, and then the next day they would make bean cakes. And I always thought that was something, because I never made them. You know, only once or twice in all the 45 years I've been married. But she did. She made a lot of them. You like all beans but limas? Well, I don't know if the lima beans would be that great in a bean cake, but I like butter beans. I used to hate them, absolutely hate them. I won't say who did this because they might see this. But when I was little, it was not my mother. But when I was little, I was probably 4 years old. Couldn't have been any older. And somebody made some lima or butter beans, and I told them I didn't like them. And Mom never made us really eat or gag on that stuff we didn't like. I mean, she tried to make it to where we could eat what we liked to make it look good. But this person took them lima beans and shoved them in my mouth. And I gagged and I puked because I couldn't stand them. Yeah, I like the butter beans very well now. But then I wouldn't eat one for years and years and years because of that memory of her throwing that down my throat and gagging me so bad. So anyway, one day I was with a friend and we was going out to see her mother. And her mother always, and my friend Diane, her mother always had a side of beans. Always. She'd cook, but there was always bread and beans on her stove. That's just the way she did. And we helped her put up a Christmas tree. And that day, you know, I prayed for her and stuff, and we put that tree up. And she said, "Why don't you guys come on in here, and I want to give you something to eat." And I thought, well, you know, that'll be nice. Well, guess what she pulled out? Butter beans. Something I hadn't eaten for years and years and years because somebody stuffed them down my throat and made me gag and puke because they said I was eating them whether I wanted them or not. So she says, "I just got these fresh butter beans made, and I'll put you up some and give you some fresh bread." I was scared. I'm going to burn that if I don't watch. Okay. I was scared because I thought, oh no, what if I gag? And what if I can't eat this? And she was so nice and courteous. How could I not? And I read in the Bible, when you go to someone's house, you eat what they offer you. So anyway, she dished them up in a bowl, and I was just praying under my breath, "Lord, please." I took a bite of them, and them was the best things I ever tasted. And I think it was because it was offered in love instead of being forced. So yeah, they were really good. Now this is the cheese I made last week. I don't know if any of you have made any or not, but I'm just going to lay that on top, Michelle. See how these last two do. Lay that and see if that will melt right down on there. And I'll probably use the rest of this for to throw in the macaroni and cheese I'm going to make this week for my grandson. So that, you know, that cheese that I made is going a long way. So yeah, them beans was absolutely wonderful. And I asked her, "How did you make these?" So after that, I just started making them all the time, and I love them. I love them. And it makes a difference what you offer people in love and what you force on them. And it made all the difference to me, because look at the years I went not eating something that was good for me because someone forced it down my throat and gagged me. And when Diane's mom offered them to me in love, I could not eat them. And I thought, I hope I don't gag. All the time I was sitting there with them in front of me, I thought about that when I was little, how I was gagged like that. And that's not what I'm crying for. I'm crying because she offered them in love. And when I took a bite of them, they was the best heavenly tasted things I ever eat in my life. And I told Diane, I told her my story, and I said, I don't know how I was going to get through that when your mom offered that to me. But I did, and she offered them in love, and now I love them. So that's awesome, you know, that we can do that. So this is talking about other beans now. But these is what the beans, or the bean cakes, you know, I showed you what they look like. That's what we're making. And then the cheese we made last week, I'm using another little hunk of it to put on top of that. Let me get a lid to put on top of that, just to melt that cheese down over there a little bit. Just watch the time. Hi Charlene, how are you? So that'll melt down over there a little bit and we'll see what it looks like. Keep that heat in there. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that we do through our lives, and if it's not offered in love, then it's not good to us anymore until someone turns that around and offers it in love. And it just so happened it was offered in love. Now I'm going to take this and open it up, show you what it looks like inside. I'm going to take a bite. Wow. That's the funniest thing. With that turmeric and garlic and onion, and it's probably the onion, these taste a little bit like salmon patties. So, yeah, Carol, I can't wait till you, or Cassie, I can't wait. I'm sorry I didn't see that. Very good. Yeah. They're very good. And just think, there's no meat in them. I could almost take one of these and, like Michelle said, put that cheese on it and eat that like a hamburger, really. It tastes good. New menu on my list. Man, them are really good. See, I hadn't made them for years. We used to make them at the cabin a lot. Not one or two times during town time. But not the Pinto. I've only made the Pinto maybe once or twice. Let's see, here we go. I'm going to turn that off. Put this over there. See that melting down over there? That's the cheese we made last week. This homemade Velveeta-like cheese. Yeah, it does. And you know what? You could eat it like one of them, Colette. But look at this. There's that cheese I made last week. And Michelle suggested putting cheese over it. You can make some of that cheese up and just have it in your refrigerator for times like this that you want to add it. That's even sliding down over the sides, melting right so beautifully. So I had to turn that off because it's really melting on there good. Now you got me curious. These are done. See that cheese just... And that's done. See how beautiful them are? That cheese melting down over it. No meat. Made out of beans. Yep. I'll let this cool off. And them spices are really good in there. So I suggest you do put some onion. If you don't have fresh onions, put some onion salt or onion powder or onion flakes like we did. Very good. They almost taste like a salmon patty, but depends on what you season them with when you're cooking them. Excuse me. I did not use any seasoning at all. I just threw them in the pot and went to the birthday party, and I put salt and pepper. That's it. No extra meat seasoning or nothing. Yes. Yes, Diane. I used my Power Chef. It looks nasty now, but I used my Tupperware Power Chef for my purpose. But now all you have to do is take them beans. You can even have a little juice in them. Not a lot, but a little juice. Or if you've made them kind of mushy like, you could just go ahead and put them in there. And just take your fingers and mash them up, or use a potato masher, or anything. You know, mash them. But fingers are really good for that kind of stuff. So you could do that and mash them up. Then you put your little egg in there, scrambled up, throw it in there and mix it up. Then put your spices in, mix them up, and then put your flour in. If you have self-rising, use it. If you don't have self-rising, use it. If it's all-purpose, you can use any kind. I just so happen to have this self-rising right here in the kitchen, up on my refrigerator, so I grabbed it. It doesn't matter. So this is all melted down on there now, all over the place. So you can see that the cheese does a very good job of melting on things. Plus it's beautiful. So there you have a pinto bean cake. Very easily made, very easily made. Remember to leave your skillet on medium-low. Don't get it too hot. Just let it lay there and sear. And searing means make it good and brown on one side. Then flip it over and let it brown real good on the other side. And you're pretty well got your cake done. So I don't know how hot this is, but Michelle really has me curious. And this looks like a cheeseburger right here. Looks like a cheeseburger. You see how hot it is. I don't want to burn my tongue in front of you. I don't want to go for a few days and not be able to drink something because it's burning me. Burnt tongue. I'm going to tell you what, Michelle, that's better with cheese on it. And that cheese, that homemade cheese or whatever kind you want to use, very good. So I used to watch my grandma Romine make the potato, or not, she made potato cakes, and she made navy bean cakes, like the soup bean cakes. She'd cook up some cabbage with it, with potatoes in it. But yes, this is delicious. So to my grandma Romine, to every one of you out there, this is delicious. You might want to go back on my post about making the cheese. It's so easy and simple to make that you could have this on hand all the time. Yes, yes, it made the difference big time. It was good. It was delicious. But with this homemade cheese, or you could use a cheddar, it is really good. Them two flavors is out of this world. There won't be any other stuff right now. I'm going to eat this one with cheese on it, and the other one I'll leave for later. I just hope it don't work for me while I'm speaking in church tonight. If it does, I'll stay put. But anyway, this is delicious. I hope that you try this. If nothing else, make the beans just to make these. I can't believe it makes that much difference. I mean, they're delicious, but these makes them even more delicious. No meat, just beans. This is so good. And it looks like, kind of looks like a thick hamburger. So who said beans are not good? Michelle, you are making these tonight, right? If you make these and your husband got, what kind of cheese did you say he got? Just take a slice of that and put on top of these, and that just might really be good, even no matter what kind it is. This homemade cheese is really good. This is good enough to serve anybody. I would pay money to eat these in a restaurant. I really would. But I won't eat no more in front of you because they're just so good. I don't want to, you know, say, hey, look, I get to eat them. Thanks, Michelle, for suggesting cheese. When you first said it, I thought, I don't know about that. Yes, they would. Yes, they would. Diane, they would. I'll be making them again, that's for sure. It's going on my menu. So anyway, God bless you. I need to get off of here so I can finish up and anyway, thank you so much. And I hope you make these, and I hope you send me a picture on this post of your bean cakes. And Michelle, send me a picture and try a piece of that cheese your husband got. It may give it a whole different flavor. Anything works with it, I think. No mustard on these, just cheese. God bless you. Have a good day.